They didn't just command armies. They charged into the fray, swords swinging, tanks roaring, or strategies so audacious they reshaped history. These generals weren't merely brave. They were the embodiment of courage, thriving in chaos and turning impossible odds into legendary victories, from ancient battlefields to modern wars. Here are the top 5 most fearless generals who ran toward the fire when the world burned, each a titan forged in valor, cunning, and unrelenting resolve. Number 5, Georgy Zhukov, the Iron General. Georgy Zhukov was the Soviet Union's unbreakable shield against the Nazi war machine. Born in 1896 to a peasant family, he rose through the ranks with a tenacity that matched his nickname, the Iron General. When Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa in 1941, invading the Soviet Union with 3 million troops, Zhukov faced a juggernaut that seemed unstoppable. He didn't blink. His defining moment came at the Battle of Moscow in 1941. With the Red Army reeling and the capital within Germany's grasp, Zhukov orchestrated a counteroffensive in the brutal Russian winter. He marshaled reserves, exploited German overextension, and launched a ferocious assault that pushed the invaders back, marking Hitler's first major defeat. His tactics were ruthless: massed artillery, relentless tank charges, and no quarter given. At Stalingrad in 1942-43, Zhukov's strategy of encirclement trapped the German Sixth Army, 300,000 strong, in a frozen cauldron, shattering their morale and momentum. Zhukov's fearlessness extended beyond the battlefield. He defied Stalin, a man who executed generals for less, by openly criticizing military purges that weakened the Red Army. His bluntness could have cost him his life. But his results, culminating in the fall of Berlin in 1945, made him untouchable. Zhukov's legacy is one of iron resolve, proving that courage could break even the mightiest war machine. Number 4, Nguyen Giap, the master of the impossible. Nguyen Giap was a schoolteacher who became a military genius, leading Vietnam to victory against 2 global superpowers. Born in 1911, Giap had no formal military training. Yet he outwitted the French and Americans with a blend of guerrilla tactics and sheer audacity. Outgunned, outmanned, and facing impossible odds, he turned weakness into strength, making him one of history's most fearless underdogs. His first triumph came at Dien Bien Phu in 1954. The French, confident in their fortified base, underestimated Giap's Viet Minh. He dragged heavy artillery through dense jungles and mountains, a logistical nightmare, and positioned them on hills overlooking the French. When the battle began, his forces unleashed a barrage that stunned their enemies, leading to a surrender that ended French colonial rule in Indochina. Giap was 43, commanding a ragtag army against a modern military, and he won. Against the Americans in the Vietnam War, Giap's genius shone again. His strategy was simple but brutal: prolong the war, strike where the enemy was weak, and erode their will. The Tet Offensive of 1968, a massive surprise attack on over 100 cities, shocked the U.S. and shifted global opinion against the war. Though costly, it was a psychological masterstroke. Giap's fearlessness lay not in charging into gunfire, but in believing a small nation could defeat giants, and proving it through relentless ingenuity. Number 3, Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox. Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, was a German general whose courage and charisma made him a legend, even among his enemies. Born in 1891, Rommel earned his reputation in North Africa during World War II, commanding the Africa Corps against the British in the vast, unforgiving desert. Outnumbered and undersupplied, he turned tank warfare into an art form, leading from the front with a daring that bordered on reckless. At the Battle of Gazala in 1942, Rommel's bold flanking maneuvers crushed a larger British force, capturing 30,000 prisoners. He drove his tanks under relentless Allied air and artillery fire, often directing battles from the front lines. His ability to read the terrain and exploit weaknesses made him seem invincible, earning him grudging respect from foes like Montgomery and Churchill. Rommel's philosophy was simple: speed and surprise over brute force. His courage wasn't limited to tactics. Rommel defied Hitler's brutal orders, refusing to execute captured commandos and treating prisoners humanely. Implicated in a 1944 plot against Hitler, he chose suicide over a public trial to protect his family. Rommel's fearlessness was matched by his honor, making him a rare figure, a warrior admired by both sides in a brutal war. Number 2, George S. Patton, Old Blood and Guts. George S. Patton was a hurricane of a man, part warrior, part mystic, all fire. Nicknamed Old Blood and Guts, his men quipped it was our blood, his guts. Patton was the American general who embodied relentless aggression. Born in 1885, he believed he was reincarnated from ancient warriors, a conviction that fueled his fearless leadership in World War II. Patton's defining moment came during the Battle of the Bulge in 1944, when Germany launched a desperate counteroffensive, trapping U.S. forces in Bastogne. Patton pulled off a near miracle. He pivoted his Third Army 90 degrees, marched 100 miles through snow and ice in 48 hours, and relieved the besieged town. His mantra, lead me, follow me, or get out of my way, wasn't bravado. It was his creed. In France, his tanks raced so fast that supply lines struggled to keep up, liberating swaths of territory in weeks. Patton's controversies, like slapping shell-shocked soldiers, made him polarizing, but his courage was undeniable. He led from the front, often under fire, and inspired his men with fiery speeches. His belief in destiny and disdain for fear made him a force of nature, a general who didn't just fight wars, he lived for them. Number 1, Alexander the Great, the Unconquered. Alexander the Great tops this list as the ultimate fearless general. Born in 356 BCE in Macedon, he inherited a small kingdom and transformed it into an empire spanning Greece to India by age 33, without ever losing a battle. His courage wasn't just strategic, it was visceral. Alexander fought in the front lines, sword in hand, sharing his men's blood and sweat. At the Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BCE, facing a Persian army 5 times his size, Alexander led a daring cavalry charge straight at Darius III's center, forcing the Persian king to flee. His men, inspired by his audacity, routed the enemy. This wasn't an outlier. Alexander's campaigns were a relentless odyssey across deserts, mountains, and jungles. At Hydaspes in 326 BCE, he faced war elephants, a terrifying unknown, and still emerged victorious. His secret was his ability to inspire. Alexander ate the same rations as his soldiers, slept in the same mud, and risked his life alongside them. His conquests, Egypt, Persia, Central Asia, were driven by a vision of a united world, but his courage made it real. He died at 32, possibly from fever or poison, but his legend endures as the gold standard of military genius and fearlessness. Why they endure. These generals weren't just fearless, they redefined what it means to lead. Zhukov's iron will stop the Nazi tide. Giap's ingenuity toppled empires with minimal resources. Rommel's daring and honor shone in defeat. Patton's fiery passion drove the impossible. And Alexander's unmatched courage built an empire that still captivates. Each faced unique challenges, different eras, enemies, and odds, but they shared a refusal to flinch. Their stories transcend war. They teach us about resilience, vision, and the power of one individual to alter history's course. Whether it was Zhukov's tanks crushing Berlin, Giap's guerrillas vanishing into jungles, Rommel's panzers racing through deserts, Patton's army defying winter, or Alexander charging Persian hordes, these men thrived in the inferno. They didn't just lead from the front, they ran toward the fire, and the world still feels the heat of their legacies. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more content. Thank you.